Harvard Yard was roaring with cheers when my twin sister got a trip around Europe and I got a $10 Starbucks card with a handwritten note, "Gratitude makes life richer." Everyone laughed, called it cute. They didn't know that for the past year and a half, every payment keeping our red brick house alive had come from my account, not theirs. That day, standing in my black gown beside Amelia's perfect smile, I realized the truth. My family didn't raise daughters. They built investments. And when I finally stopped paying, they didn't lose money. They lost their masks. But that part, they never saw coming. When people talk about family, they picture Sunday dinners, shared laughter, and the smell of something warm coming from the oven. In the Morgan house, everything looked perfect: red brick walls, white door hydrangeas in the front yard. But inside, love had a dress code and I was always underdressed. Mom Diane loved presentation. Her smile could host fundraisers, her tone could end arguments. She believed in appearances more than affection. Amelia, my twin, was her masterpiece, charming, graceful, the kind of girl who sparkled even in bad lighting. I was the other one, the one who kept the Wi-Fi running and the bills paid on time. When we were 10, we played at a small recital downtown. I remember the faint citrus scent from Mom's perfume and the squeak of folding chairs. I played Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, every note precise. When I finished, there was polite applause, then Mom's voice soft but sharp. "Selena, you should play with more feeling. Music isn't math." I nodded. My throat burned. Then Amelia played. She missed notes, fumbled halfway, but smiled through it. Mom clapped louder than anyone. See, that's heart. That day, I learned something crucial in our family. Mistakes wrapped in charm were art. Effort wrapped in silence was invisible. Years passed. I became the family technician, accountant, and fixer. When Dad's email got hacked, I reset it. When Mom couldn't log into her Apple ID, I handled it. When Amelia's resume formatting broke, I fixed it too. And when the mortgage notice came, interest rates rising, panic creeping into Dad's voice, I opened my laptop and quietly took care of it. Each month, a payment left my account with the note, "Morgan Household, Selena contribution." I didn't tell them. Maybe I wanted to believe love could grow quietly like a seed planted in the dark. But in that house, only what glittered ever got sunlight. At night, I coded for Meetview Labs, the glow of my screen spilling across dorm walls. While Amelia posted photos from rooftop parties, I built interfaces for medical AI, something real, something that worked. The first time I saw the numbers in my bank account jump past 5 digits, I didn't celebrate. I just stared at the screen thinking, maybe now they'll see me. They never did. So when Mom handed Amelia that Europe trip and handed me that gift card, it wasn't new. It was just the prettiest version of what had always been true. But something in me shifted that day, not loudly, not dramatically. It was quiet, like a door clicking shut. Graduation dinner was supposed to feel like an ending and a beginning. Instead, it felt like a verdict. The dining room glowed under the chandelier. The cake said, "Congratulations, Amelia and Selena," but her name was written twice the size. Mom's voice carried over the clinking of silverware. "Amelia will need to pack soon. Paris first, then Venice. She's always had such vision." Dad raised his glass. "Both my daughters are brilliant, but Amelia, she just has that spark of leadership." The table laughed. I smiled, cutting a slice of cake I didn't taste. When Mom turned to me, her tone softened into that patronizing sweetness she called wisdom. "Selena, dear, you should learn to be happy with less. Gratitude makes life richer." I nodded, though inside something cracked so quietly it almost sounded like relief. Later that night, while Amelia posted pictures of her cake, I sat in my childhood room, lit by the blue glow of my laptop. I opened the banking app out of habit. The list of payments appeared, each one marked Morgan Household, Selena contribution, 18 months, $3,200 every month. The thought hit like cold water. They'd never even wondered. They believed in miracles, interest rates dropping, the bank being kind, anything but the truth that I'd been holding that roof up. The next morning, I stopped the automatic transfer. It felt small, final. 2 weeks later, Dad called. "The bank says the payment didn't go through." "Did something happen?" "Yes," I said quietly. "I stopped paying." Silence. Then his voice sharpened. "Selena, you can't just walk away. We're family. You have an obligation to help." "I did help," I said. For a year and a half. Mom's voice joined in, trembling with disbelief. Don't be dramatic. You're lucky to have what you do. Don't let success make you arrogant. I almost laughed. I'm not arrogant, Mom. I'm tired. They didn't understand. Maybe they never would. That night, I packed. No yelling, no tears, just the steady sound of zippers and folded fabric. The moonlight fell across the diploma still on my desk. Harvard embossed in gold letters, proof of everything I'd built alone. When I left, the red brick house stood behind me like a museum of memories I never chose to keep. I drove across the Longfellow Bridge, the city lights spilling over the Charles River, and for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I wasn't escaping my family. I was escaping the version of myself they needed me to be quiet, useful, invisible. And I had no idea that by the time they realized what I'd stopped giving, it would already be too late. The first sign came on a Tuesday morning, a bank alert blinking across my phone. Request to add new backup payment method. For a second, I thought it was a glitch. Then I saw the name Michael Morgan, my father. He hadn't called to ask. He'd simply tried to reconnect my account to their mortgage as if my money still belonged to the family by default. I sat very still, coffee cooling beside my laptop. Then I called the bank. The representative's voice was soft, almost apologetic. We just need to confirm, did you authorize this request? No, I said. Freeze the account. Log the activity. I want a record of every change. Calm came back to me like muscle memory. I wrote down the case number, date, and time. Then I opened my laptop and created a new folder evidence. Inside it, I started gathering everything: payment confirmations, bank emails, call logs. I wasn't emotional. I was precise. Every file was a weapon polished in silence. 2 days later, I drove to Newton. The house looked the same, roses-trimmed porch light glowing, but the air inside was different, heavier. Mom sat on the couch, eyes red. Dad stood by the window, jaw tight. Amelia leaned against the wall, arms crossed like a spectator. Dad spoke first. We need to talk. You know what happens if the bank forecloses. I met his eyes. Then maybe you'll finally understand what it costs to live on someone else's dime. His tone hardened. Don't talk to me like that. This is family. And I'm part of it, I said quietly, but not your bank. Mom's voice broke through, desperate. Selena, please. You don't have to make this harder than it already is. I took a slow breath. You made it hard when you used my trust like an ATM code. For a moment, no one spoke. The old clock ticked on the wall. Amelia finally muttered, You're overreacting. You could have just talked to them. I turned toward her, calm but sharp. You mean like when you got a Europe trip and I got a $10 lecture on gratitude? Her smile faltered. I looked around the living room, the family photos, the router I'd installed, the framed Together We're Stronger. Quote Mom loved. Every object felt like a quiet reminder of the lie we all lived in. I'm done funding that illusion, I said softly. If you want control, take it. Just don't use my name to do it. Then I walked out, closing the door behind me. No yelling followed this time. Just silence, the kind that burns more than words. When I got home, I opened my laptop again. The evidence folder was waiting. Each file was neat, time-stamped, ready. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about boundaries, and the truth was just starting to sharpen its edge. It started with one careless click. I was updating tax records late at night, half asleep, coffee gone cold. I attached a document from my evidence folder screens of every payment I'd made to keep the mortgage alive and meant to send it to my accountant. But when I hit send, I didn't notice that my aunt's family email group was still in the CC field. By morning, my phone was exploding. Selena, what did you do? Mom's voice was breathless on the line. Behind her, I could hear drawers slamming. Dad yelling something I couldn't make out. What are you talking about? I asked. Everyone's seen it. Helen posted it on Facebook. You sent the payment records to the whole family. I pulled up my inbox. Hundreds of notifications, screenshots, shocked emojis, comment threads under a post that read, 18 months of payments, labeled Selena contribution. Did anyone know she paid their mortgage? The post had already spread beyond family. Church friends, neighbors, even Mom's volunteer group had shared it. Some comments were kind. She's such a good daughter. Others were cruel. Maybe she's just trying to show off. But none of that mattered. The story was out and no one could put it back. That afternoon, my father called. His voice was stripped bare, no pretense left. "Do you know what you've done? People are calling, asking if we used you. You've embarrassed this family." I let out a quiet breath. "No, Dad. I didn't embarrass anyone. I just stopped hiding the truth." "You could have handled this privately," he snapped. "I did," I said, "for a year and a half." He hung up. Hours later, the local bank manager called him in for a meeting. The refinance application he'd submitted was flagged unstable payment history, the letter said. Without my deposits, they couldn't prove consistent funds. The house, once their badge of pride, was now a liability. I didn't feel joy, only a strange stillness. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just quietly rearranges the balance sheet. Within weeks, the Newton house was listed for sale. Neighbors whispered. Aunt Helen apologized to me privately, saying she didn't mean for things to spread that far. But it was too late. The Morgans' perfect image had cracked like porcelain dropped on tile. I kept working. At Meatview Labs, my projects expanded. Colleagues started asking about my design approach, quiet precision they called it. The phrase stuck. It became my compass. When an investor from the Harvard iLab reached out about a fellowship program, I hesitated before saying yes. Returning there felt strange, like walking into a place that once made me invisible, only now the light was on me. At the presentation, I spoke about user-focused design in healthcare technology, how empathy and structure can save lives. The lead judge shook my hand. "This," he said, "is what impact looks like." That sentence did more for me than every praise I never got from home. Within months, I founded NovaMind Health Design. I rented a tiny office near Kendall Square, brick walls, second-hand desks, sunlight spilling through tall windows. On the wall, I taped a white sheet of paper with black marker words. "We design clarity for those who save lives." The first contract came from Meatview itself. Then another from a cancer detection startup. Every invoice paid felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. And yet, late at night, I'd still check my phone sometimes, half expecting another message from Mom. It came sooner than I thought. Amelia texted first. "Mom's sick. Dad's depressed. They're losing the house. You did this." I read it twice before replying. "No, Amelia. They did." 2 days later, she showed up at my office. Same perfect hair, same designer coat, but her eyes looked hollow. She stood among the potted plants and prototype sketches, scanning the space like it contradicted everything she believed about me. "Mom can't sleep," she said softly. "Dad's falling apart." "If you'd just helped like before," I interrupted. "Like before when I paid quietly and they called it luck." Her lips trembled. "You've changed." "I had to," I said. "You only loved me when I was useful." For a second, she looked like she wanted to argue, but no words came. She turned and left her perfume fading down the hall. That evening, I drove past the old neighborhood. The red brick house stood dark, a for sale sign planted in the lawn. Through the window, I saw boxes stacked where laughter used to echo. I parked for a minute, hands on the steering wheel, watching the light from the street lamps paint gold stripes across the windshield. My chest didn't ache. I felt calm, like I'd been holding my breath for years and finally exhaled. The next day, the local paper ran a small-piece family home foreclosed amid mortgage dispute. I didn't read it twice. Weeks later, while preparing slides for a conference, I received an unexpected call from Mom. Her voice was small, cracked at the edges. "Selena, I just wanted to say I'm sorry." Those words had lived in my head for years, but I never thought I'd hear them out loud. "I know what I did," she whispered. "I treated you like a wallet, not a daughter. And now I see what that cost." I sat in silence, letting her speak. For once, she didn't fill the space with excuses. Finally, I said, "I forgive you, Mom. But forgiveness doesn't mean going back." She started to cry softly. "I just wanted you to know I mean it. I know I said. And that's enough." When the call ended, I turned off my phone and stared out the window. The city was glittering in winter light, the Charles River silver under the sky. They had lost the house that defined them, but I had built something that couldn't be foreclosed, my boundaries, my peace. Justice hadn't come with sirens or revenge speeches. It came in the quiet, the kind of quiet where truth finally breathes. I ran into Mom by accident one late winter afternoon. The Whole Foods in Cambridge was warm and bright against the cold outside, the air smelling of oranges and fresh bread. I was reaching for a bundle of bok choy when I heard it, her voice, trembling, fragile. "Selena." I turned. She looked smaller than I remembered her coat, too big, hair streaked with silver. For a moment we just stared. Then she stepped closer, eyes glassy. "I don't want to make excuses. I just want to say I'm sorry." Her voice cracked. "I thought I was teaching you gratitude. I was teaching you how to disappear. I should have protected you, not the image of our family." I gripped the cart handle, feeling the cold metal against my palm. "I already forgave you, Mom," I said quietly, "but I'm not coming back." She nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. "I don't want you to. I just needed you to know I see it now." The store music shifted to Moon River. The same melody from our childhood recital, only softer, slower. For a moment, time folded. I wasn't angry anymore, just tired and free. When she reached out, I didn't pull away. I gave her hand a small squeeze. "I hope you find peace," I whispered. She turned, walking toward the checkout. The gray coat hung heavy on her shoulders. I watched until she disappeared down the aisle. Outside, the air was sharp and clean. The city lights shimmered on wet pavement, and I realized forgiveness wasn't a doorback, it was a bridge forward. That night, I stood by my apartment window, a cup of tea warming my hands. Boston glittered beyond the glass, steady, alive, unbothered. On the wall above my desk hung two things, the framed $10 gift card from graduation and the certificate bearing Novamind Health Design. The card used to sting. Now it reminded me how far I'd come. I smiled, whispering to myself, gratitude doesn't mean bowing your head, it means knowing when to lift it. If you've ever walked away from people who loved what you gave but not who you were, know this, you're not alone. Share your story in the comments and hit subscribe. Because silence deserves a voice, and tonight mine finally has one.